Yeah.
Do you still dive?
Do I still dive? It's so funny because I was approached early this year, by Steve Foley, who's the high performance director for USA Diving. I used to dive with him. He's from Australia originally. And so he's been very successful in the high performance director in Australia. Then he went to England and was very successful there. I don't know if you're aware, I mean, there's 2 young kids from England who are doing very, very well. Thomas Daly and Jack, I don't remember Jack's name, but they're really talented platform divers. And a part of their successes, is from Steve Foley. And he was recruited in to be the high performance director for USA Diving. And he approached me, he said, how can we get you back involved in diving? And I said, ask. I mean, I've never been asked. I was like, when I was diving and then I retired, then the feeling was more, don't let the door hit you on the way out, I just like, we're done with you, next, so I didn't feel real welcome, and I don't know, I mean, my coach, Ron O'Brien, said that, some of it was some residual homophobia, amongst the U.S. diving group, I thought it was just jealousies, because a lot of those guys that were in power, I did dive against. And I beat him. But anyways, so what we kind of put together and are working on getting together is a mentoring program, so I can be available to the divers and the coaches. And so my feeling was, it's not funded this year, but we had 3 really important competitions that weren't too far away. One was in Tucson, which was the Junior Nationals, and then the Senior Nationals were in College Station, Texas. Lovely College Station. And then the other one was the World Juniors Championships that was in Tucson again. So my partner and I went to those competitions and just to be around the divers, and so that the intimidation and all that would kind of go away. Well, I mean, they weren't even born when I was diving, so, there's, I don't think they had too much intimidation. They have seen me dive on YouTube, but, that's the only way that they know who the heck I am. Their parents know who I am, usually, and I'm usually older than their parents too, which is really depressing. But so this has been the first year that I've been around a pool, because I haven't been around a pool, and I did get on the boards and at a number of the competitions. I turned to the kids and I'd be bouncing on the 1 meter and say, you got to know that I have a sense of humor if I'm on the boards with you guys, because they're really incredible and in shape and all that stuff. I'm not too bad, but anyways, I did do a few dives on 10 meter platform and did a flying front 1.5. I think that made the rounds on Facebook. But if I'm around it, because you really have to make an effort to get to a pool that has a facility for diving, because so many of the facilities are going by the wayside because of insurance stuff. And we're losing a lot of facilities, and the ability to expose our kids to diving, which is unfortunate. But hopefully, next year we're hoping to get the funding for the mentoring program for next year from the U.S. Olympic Committee. So, yeah. Hi, thank you.
I mentor a lot of young entrepreneurs who are owning businesses and living in a wall.
Yeah, I can use some help.
And one of the great stories I reference, which I think is one of the great
Yeah.
and came back into the art. So my question is, what do you draw on, either clearing your thoughts
Yeah.
or something that you went to
Well,
because that to me was one of the all-time great
yeah. I mean, I don't know that it was publicized, but I mean, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but Ryan White was my inspiration. Ryan White was my inspiration. So, because I wanted to share my Olympic experience with him in 1988, and 6 months prior to the Olympic Games, I was diagnosed HIV positive. So, I really wanted to share. Ryan White was a young boy who contracted HIV through his clotting factor. He was a hemophiliac. And so I wanted to share that experience with him. So we tried to get him into the country, into Seoul, Korea, for the Olympic Games, but they wouldn't allow him into the country because of his HIV status. So I knew that I wasn't welcome, in that country. And if anybody found out, then I would probably not be able to compete. After I hit my head on the springboard, fortunately that was prelims, and it was, it was, I said in my book, Breaking the Surface, that I was paralyzed by fear. I didn't know what to do, because I knew I was in a country that I wasn't welcome in because of my HIV status. There wasn't a whole lot of compassion surrounding HIV at that time. There was a lot of fear and ignorance surrounding HIV. So it was, it was a pretty scary time, but my thought was, when my coach turned to me and said, what do you want to do? I mean, you can pack your bags and go home, and nobody would fault you for that. And he said, you still have a wonderful career to look back on. And I turned to him and I said, we worked too long and hard to get here. And he said, okay, and then we went for a walk. And that was what was going on. And through my mind is, my thought was questioning, well, what would Ryan do? And, I knew that Ryan was a fighter, and he was a hell of a lot stronger than I was. Or that I felt. And so he was, truly my inspiration. And that's the reason why I gave his mother that Olympic gold medal. So, so she had that. And actually, everybody asked, where are your medals? Because I won a silver medal in '76 at age 16. 1980, there was a boycott. And then 1984, I got 2 gold medals. In 1984, 2 gold medals in 1988. That's when we only had 2 events. Now we have synchronized diving. But so, all of those medals are at the International Swimming Hall of Fame in Fort Lauderdale. At least I know where they are, Because people would come to the house when I had them myself, they say, oh, can I see your medals? It's like, I was lucky if I could find them, I didn't know where they were, because to me, they're just things, it's in history books, and, presenting it, having it presented to you on the award stand is, that's something that nobody can take away from me. So, so this way, more people can enjoy them and see them, and I know where they are. But I did talk Jeannie White into putting hers on loan so that they're all together, and they made a nice little tribute to Ryan White. And it was really, really nice, because it's been a long time. That people forget who Ryan White was and what his contributions were to young people that were HIV positive, their right to education. I'm dyslexic, so, if somebody told me that I didn't have to go to school, I'd say, yeah. And so it was really foreign to me, that this young kid was just so brave, and, he truly was my inspiration. Anyone else?
We have time for one more question. Anybody?
That's okay. That's okay. You know, the one thing that I've learned is, you know, I mean, this is probably carryover from my acrobatics, gymnastics, dance, diving, is that, you know, you're only limited by your own imagination. So, you know, what I do with my HIV is, I go to my doctor, you know, I take my meds, you know, it's good news, bad news, numbers, whatever, numbers. And when he puts that file away, that's where I put it too. So HIV doesn't rule my life. You know, I just go about the business of living. You know, take my meds in the morning, take my meds in the evening, and go about living. You know, and that's pretty much, you know, how I've handled the whole HIV thing. You know, and, you know, the thing is, I mean, it was probably a year and a half ago, you know, my numbers were really bad. I mean, I had viral load in the millions and 11 T cells. And I felt fine, you know, but the numbers were bad. So then my doctor said, okay, you know, there's a new therapy, but, you know, this is your last chance therapy. It's like, oh, well, whatever. Because I also have acupuncturist, Chinese herbalist that I go to once a week. You know, that I do alternative therapies as well. So, you know, I didn't think it was the end of the world or anything. But anyways, now, I mean, I've been on this regimen for about a year and a half, and my viral load's undetectable. My T cells have been higher than they've ever been. They're over 300, you know, and, you know, so, you know, it's just like, you never know. You know, I go based on how I feel. I think that having the upbringing that I have had in athletics, you know, I'm much more in tune with my body. So, and the yoga really helps, you know, helps my head, you know, because I need to have that physical activity as well, you know, that, you know, and it's, you know, it's great, it's meditative, it's, you know, it's very healing. So I'm just very thankful and blessed. Thanks. That's about it. Good.